Why don't you share the most impactful experience?
Oh, there have been many. And I also feel that when you read a lot of the so-called scriptures in Hinduism, and I've had to go through all the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Purans, sometimes your intuition, and I also practice a certain amount of pranayam. And at that time, I was doing more pranayam, the incident I'm talking about. So I just, I teach in a college and I have a big, large class of, whatever, 40 girls or whatever, usually. And I remember this was not an Indian history class, it was an American history class. And, I had to finish the syllabus, so I was in a hurry. I enter the room and I can't tell you what happened to me, Ranveer. I just there was this darkness. And I tried to open my mouth and I remember I was going to talk about a certain president in America and words wouldn't come out. This has never happened to me. I said, no, what's going on? What's going on? I'm looking around at the students and finally I said, what's going on? So they said, nothing, ma'am. I said, no, something's wrong with this class. Why am I not being able to speak? I actually said that to the students. It was early in the morning. And then one girl ran out of the class crying. So I said, what's with her? So they said, ma'am, her boyfriend, it was Valentine's Day yesterday and he gave her a hard time. So she went. I said, okay, now let me teach. I'm not interested in all that. I tried to teach again. My voice would not come out. My words would not come out. Finally, I just put down my register and I just started looking at each and every girl. And finally, there was a girl right at the end. Her head was down. I won't take her name. She's well known today. I just looked at her and I said, look at me. And I said, why is your head down? Look at me. She looked at me and her eyes had complete devastation in them. I cannot even describe what her eyes had in them. All I said was, being a practical person myself, I said, leave my room, go down to the canteen. Please have a cup of tea or coffee. Just leave my room. And believe me, she left my room. She got up and I was scared at the same time. So her best friend was sitting in front. I said, go with her. Go. I'll give you attendance because that's all that students are bothered about. The two of them left and I was able to take my lecture. I took my lecture. I came to the staff room. The two girls followed me back to the staff room and then they apologized. We are so sorry that we disrupted your class. And then I said, what's wrong with you? I taught you last year. You were perfectly fine. What's happened to you today? Then she said, tell her. The other friend started nudging her. Tell ma'am, you have to tell her. She said, ma'am, the moment you told me to look up, I was just wondering how I'm going to commit suicide. We're on the 3rd floor, ma'am. The rocks are very sharp here in JMC. I was going to jump from that window. How did you know, ma'am? I said, what? She said, yesterday was Valentine's Day. I tried to use the fan and my chunni. It didn't work. Today, I parked my car on the opposite side of the road so that I could get run over. It didn't work. I'm sitting in your class and I'm saying the best thing to do is to jump from this window. And I just was shocked at two things. Number one, that this beauty, she's like a beauty queen. She is an extremely rich, and I never knew anything about her because I don't get into the personal lives of my students, unlike some professors. And I said, wait, just hold on. And I was shocked that I could sense it. That was shocking me. Let me cancel all my classes for today because I knew it was serious. I went, I cancelled all my classes. I said, come to my personal room. And I took them in for 2 hours. She cried. I cried. I won't tell you why she wanted to commit suicide. And I said, I'm not a professional, but you need to see a psychologist right away. She said, my parents are so well known, they will not let me because the word would spread. I said, then let me meet them. They said, no. She said, no. Then they'll know that you know something about our family, about me. I was in such a state, I cannot tell you. But finally, she did, better sense prevailed. She did see a psychologist and a psychiatrist, and she cured herself completely. She's a very successful person today. This was many, many years ago. And to this day, I cannot explain to anybody what was that darkness I felt in that classroom. It's never happened to me like that again. When these kind of things started happening to me, when I became more and more intuitive, sometimes I could read people's minds, what they were saying. Then I got scared. My God, what's happening to me? And my husband used to keep saying, be careful, you're just becoming like one of those Matajis and all. Yeah. Because we're an ordinary married couple. And he said, watch it. I'm called Neelam at home. Watch it, Neelam. What's happening to you? Because I was going to London and I said, what if there's bombing, in 2005. And he said, "Are you mad? You've gone and stayed in Oxford and you've gone to London and you're so familiar with." I said, "The tube stations at night before sleeping." I'm so glad I told my husband. Nobody would believe me. I go to London. I have to give lectures in Oxford. I give one. I'm uneasy the whole time, especially in the tube stations. Finally, I just told Oxford University, I can't give the second lecture. Why? I said, "No, I'm not feeling too well. I need to go back home." I come back home and the bombings take place.
And you would have been a part of
I
this.
was, because it was on that route that I used to take. And to save a few pounds, I used to go early in the morning, like before 9 if you go. I used to set out. I had to go to the British Library. I used to go to visit the British Museum. One of the bombings took place in a bus on that trail that I used to walk on to go to the British Library. One of them took place in one of the stations that I used to go to. And I used to feel this uneasiness when I was there. And I was just so uneasy. And everybody was so shocked because England happens to be one of my favorite countries to visit. I love Oxford University. I've stayed there and I just, gave lectures there. I just said, "I'll be back." I told them, they said, "Well, the flyers are out and everybody's coming to hear your lecture on the Saundarya Lahari." I said, "I'll be back." And I went back and I never felt an uneasiness or anything at all. So, these things happen. And how do they happen? Okay, call it coincidence. But why did I say bombing specifically? Why did I say in London to my husband?
Right before this podcast, we were talking about how we couldn't talk about things like this 5 years ago. And the internet has changed and now we can talk publicly about things like intuition. I also feel that the internet widely accepts that the concept of intuition exists, having a sixth sense exists.
Yes.
My question to you is, other than meditation, what else improves it? Like, I've seen that meditation improves it. Now I don't know whether that is because your inner world gets so stilled out that you're able to recognize patterns much more easily, or there's a deeper layer which can't be
But
explained.
Ranveer, it's not that easy. Sometimes it's very, very scary to be intuitive. It's very scary. I mean, somebody gifted me tarot cards. And I literally opened the tarot card and I could see somebody's death there, and it happened. And so sometimes it's scary also. It's not like it's something that's going to help you. So I don't open the tarot cards now. I put them in a black cloth and kept them away. It's just that, okay, I'll share this with you. When I was in Oxford the first time, everybody gave me a nickname, Sunshine. And we were at a party, one of my farewell parties, and they took out these tarot cards. And I've never read tarot cards or anything. And they said, "Nilima, ask a question and choose a card." And I opened the first card it's the sun. And they said, "My God, we've been calling you Sunshine and you opened the sun." And they just gifted it to me. So looking at books, I tried playfully with my son, with his friends. I would, sometimes read the tarot and it would all come true, and it was scary.
New clips released at the same time that a podcast releases. This is TRS Clips. Make sure you subscribe.